My name is Sandy Simmons. I'm a practitioner in Melbourne, Australia. I've been in practice for over some 30 years as a naturopath, nutritionist, fertility and lactation consultant, and on the other side of things I'm a colour, sound healer. I have my own in-spirit energy connection system, and basically I have a bag of tools I bring out when anybody comes to see me. Firstly, I'd just like to thank WEF and also our fabulous Shah Moore in Melbourne for shining a light to guide me here today, and for Dr. Habib for putting on this fabulous conference, which I didn't know went for this long, 25 years this year. I must have had my head buried in a bucket of sand, or in clinic, so to speak. So today we're talking about taking control of your health and natural lifestyles and what role they have to play in helping us. So I wanted to talk about taking control of our health first, because I feel that that's a really important thing that many people are not practicing today. So I believe that all human beings have the right to know about their own health, to have self-responsibility and be empowered enough to ask questions and find out and know themselves in here, in their heart, what will work for them. So if we're not putting this into practice, which I'm finding in Australia quite a lot, I can't speak for India, but I have 3 lovely ladies following me, so I'm sure I'll find a lot. You can't hear? Okay, it's on.
Bring it down.
It's on? Okay. So, so I have 3 lovely ladies following me who I will learn a lot about Indian and the natural therapies and things that go on here. So if we're in Australia, I think most people, or a lot of people, are finding themselves quite disempowered with their health. They feel they often don't have a choice, and that others, and that could be doctors, but it could also be other practitioners, know more about their own body than they do. Now, how do we get into this situation? I just believe, I mean, it really doesn't make sense, does it? But really it's because the world has moved very fast. We have a number of different, as we heard this morning, there's 28 families own 50% of the world. So we have a lot of media, we have a lot of what I call misinformation happening around the world about our own health. Really trying to disempower us. So what can we do, and what is it that as adults now, where probably we have lost our innocence and our connection to ourselves, what can we do to bring a new paradigm forward? One of the things that I try to teach a lot of my clients is to go back to your grassroots. Find out what it was that worked for you and your family. Now, it could be simple as perhaps Shah, who has a mixed background, but she lives in Australia. It could be somebody who, from China, who came to live in Australia. The main part of their dietary requirements would have been rice. So when they come to the West and they have pasture and they have bread, it doesn't suit them. They feel quite ill. People don't often correlate those things. They're just trying to fit in to the new place that they've decided to live in, but it's not working for them. So is it the pharmaceutical industries with all the media and all the hype going on behind everything that has caused a veil to move down over our face? Could it just be the fact that we have gone so fast in the world that we don't want to see what's going on with ourselves? We want a quick fix. We want something that's going to bring about something we can continue on with our fast lives with. That creates a laziness in one way in our own inner self. We don't look at ourselves, we don't take notice of the signposts that are happening. We don't look at what we can do to move on, to be the creative beings that we need to be, the expansion that we need to have, to live a full life, a life that we are entitled to live. So don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking a Western doctor, and I'm going to say all that because I've got lovely ladies following me from India. I'm not knocking the doctors, but they have also been misled. If we really stop and think about what's happening, there's a herd mentality happening, it's a gathering people to disempower them with their own health. Everybody else knows more about you than you do. So do we want a disease-free life though? No, we don't, because we want those signposts. We want our body to tell us when something isn't working properly, so that we can actually move on and do something about it. So we all know that a pill or something that we take can squash those feelings, squash the headache, so we can get on with what we want. If we keep doing that, it builds inside a bigger and bigger issue. And before we know it, we have a health issue that we just can't ignore, but it then becomes totally out of our control. So really want you to think today is one of my messages to say, decrease stress in your life. The stress is what's killing us. The stress of having to live a modern day life. Get back to simplicity, because we know that high stress creates complications in our life, creates a terrible well-being, and often leads to an early death. Whereas if we just reduce stress, just a smidge, just think about what it is that we're doing, it increases our health and well-being, and we end up with better longevity. So it's not rocket science, is it? It's not something that you need a big health professional to tell you what you need to do. So leading by example as mothers or parents, there's some men in the audience here, I'm sure that, it doesn't matter, we don't have to have our own children, we could have nephews and nieces, but we need to be seen to be doing what we are telling people to do. So we need to lead by example. We need to empower the children. We need to educate them so that they can know what's going on within themselves. And then we need to create that, or what it does, it creates the butterfly effect so that it ripples out through your own family and friends and your immediate environment. One of the things I think will really help is, I believe that there needs to be a new way forward between Eastern and Western medicine. I believe if the philosophies were blended and could meet, we could create a really great paradigm for the future of our health. So where does this sit with natural lifestyles? This creates our community. We've created our connection, and now we need to create our community. That could be your inner community, it can be your outer community. But what it does is it creates health. So for everybody in this world these days, there's not too many people that still live in the place where they were born. Look back to your roots. Look back at what helped you, how you were when you were young. Were you well? What were you eating? What was your environment like? Try to not completely recreate it, but at least put some percentage of that back into your everyday life. It's going to be a blend. Let's face it, there's so many people moving around the world, and we've got blended families. We've got from cultures or just from lots of separations and coming together, but we have to find out what can work best for our own health. We need to lift that veil, the one that's been brought down over us from the marketing and wherever else you might have heard things. We need to create less stress in our lives. We need to do research for ourselves. If we have an issue going on, don't just believe what somebody tells you. Have a think about it. Go ask questions, find out more about it so that you have the power to move on in your life. Stay active, eat your seasonal fruits and vegetables. One of the things I would love to do is what if everybody had 2 vegetable plants in their garden, or pots on their veranda, or they planted 2 fruit trees. What would the community be like? You'd be able to exchange everything. We would get back into a community. It doesn't matter where you live, you can do this. We need to laugh, we need to meditate, we need to do all those other things that give us balance in life. And remember, there's no size that fits all. And practitioners mainly are here to do no harm, so ask questions. And if today I move only one of you to move beyond where you are with your health today, that would be something that I would really love. If I do more than one, that would be great too. But we don't want to put ourselves in the hands of other people who have been misled. We don't want to have a life in the hands of someone who hasn't got our best interests at heart. And believe me, you will know. You know here what's right for you. Thank you very much for having me speaking here today, and tomorrow I am in the agenda room at 10:45. If anybody would like to ask more questions, there's a session going on self-responsibility for your health.